Good afternoon, everybody. Jim Warren with TXAPA. Welcome to Everyday Asphalt. We're glad to have you guys here today. Everyday Asphalt takes the opportunity to go a little bit deeper in the areas of materials, design, construction, and maintenance. That's our program. We're trying to get that level, give you a little bit more as we go through the process. All our programs are posted on our YouTube website. Go to YouTube, type in TXAPA or Texas Asphalt Pavement Association. This should pop up, and right down here we've got a playlist, and the playlist is for all the everyday asphalts. We do once a month, as you know, every Thursday at 3 o'clock, and we post these normally about the Friday after the meeting. So this airs on Thursday. We'll do this should be up on Friday, and you'll see the new one. We'd like you to like, subscribe, and share, so you'll get notifications when we get a new publication or new document up here on a YouTube website. That'll be your indication that it's up there ready to go. You can watch it on a rainy day. You can watch it on a cold day. You can bring your friends together. You can have a watch party and watch these programs. And so we're just glad to offer this opportunity to you. Let's get started today. Today's guest is Mr. David Tell. He's a senior inspector with Atlas Technical Consultants. David, welcome to Everyday Asphalt.
Thank you.
Glad to have you guys here.
Glad to be here.
All right, so what we're going to talk today, when we developed the inspector education program, that was been like 3 years now. It's crazy. David was one of the guys we brought in as a senior inspector to kind of give us some advice. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yes, sir.
And so I was like, David, what do these new inspectors need to know? So he gave me all kinds of stuff. So it's great. And so we got the opportunity today to bring him back after these couple years and all the years you've been, and he's going to introduce himself here, and we're going to talk about what it takes to be an inspector. So this is going to be valuable today, so we'll hope you stay tuned. So David, give me a little background. Where you from? How long you been in business? Who you've worked for? You know, all that sort of stuff.
Well, my dad worked for TXAPA in San Marcos. His twin brother worked in Lockhart.
So your family. It's like a family deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I ended up starting in Bastrop in December of 1978.
Wow.
Started in the maintenance department, ran the motor grader, did level ups, marked patches for level up.
Wow.
And late 80s through the 90s, I did the routine maintenance contracts for our overlays and seal coats through the maintenance yard.
Holy cow.
January of 2000, had the opportunity to move over to engineering, and back then we had a seal coat program. Okay. And our office took care of everything east of Interstate 35.
Okay.
And I was in charge of that.
Okay.
We did a level up in the spring and seal coat all summer.
Okay.
And area engineers seen how much I loved hot mix, so I took care of our overlay projects.
You got graduated
into it.
Okay.
Early 2000, that's when they came out with the non-nuclear gauges.
Yeah.
And I was one of the first one in Austin District to get a Trans-Tech.
Oh, okay.
And I used it to my advantage. I could pull up to a project, get out, mark the segregation profile, get back in the truck, or run it, get back in the truck, 12 minutes. Contractors, all they had were nuclear gauges. You got 33 minutes of readings alone. So I made a deal with them back then. I'd run it with the Trans-Tech. If it failed, they had the opportunity to come out. We'd run the high and the low.
Right.
And if it failed with the Trans-Tech, 99.9% of the time, it was going to fail with the nuclear gauge. But
so it validated that piece of equipment for you as well, as for everybody else working with it.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So
awesome.
It helped them out. It helped me out. I didn't have to stand back there 45 minutes running profiles.
You cover a lot more ground that way.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 1978, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Wow. So you have been around a little while.
September 2010 was the highlight of my career. July of that year, I got a call from the Hot Mix Center saying I'd been nominated and won the Level 1B Technician of the Year
from
the Hot Mix Center in TxDOT.
Okay, awesome.
So that's kind of the highlight.
That's a big deal. Congratulations.
Thank you. April 2016, I got a phone. Well, actually, I got 3 phone calls from 3 labs that day saying, "Hey, we hear you're retiring.
Oh,
We're hiring."
lining up.
I said, I don't don't know who started the rumor. I hadn't planned on retiring, but
Oh, really?
I was going to go till I had 100% on my retirement. And I made the comment before, I was never going to work again. I had enough to do around the house.
Sure.
So I went in and talked to Dale Rand in my suit and turned around. I did retire and then went on the other side of the fence.
Okay.
Contractors, they brought that up. I had to eat my words quite a few times. They
Sure.
pointed it out, said you weren't going to work again.
So that was since 17 then, roughly?
June of 2016 is when I went to
16.
work for Pavement.
Okay. So that's 8 years?
Yeah,
Almost 7, okay.
And in 2018, into 2018, 2019, Pavement had gotten the first Austin District overlay contract. It was a 5-year contract.
Okay.
This is our last year on it.
Okay.
And I've been the construction superintendent for it.
Okay.
And we're now Atlas, and we have just won the Austin District overlay for the next 5 years.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Much in part probably to all your work.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So again, we're going to talk about inspectors. So David, from your opinion, what's the inspector's role on the project?
They are the eyes and the ears of the area engineer.
Okay.
You know, that's their job to, watch out. The contractor is the QC, their quality control. TXDOT or us at CEI, we are the quality assurance.
Okay.
We're out there to make sure that TXDOT is getting what they're paying for.
Right.
Making sure that the tests are being done, make sure that the tests are being done right. I've more than once watched 1B, especially on joint density. You look out there and you watch them see them going up and down a joint with a gauge when they're supposed to be running a joint density, and they, what are you doing? And he says, oh, I'm running my joint density. You sure you're doing that right? Oh, yeah, I can do this. I'll ask him, hey, could you go get your level 1B book and let's look. So I'll make them look it up. Answer is perpendicular to the core location.
Okay.
And once he reads it and sees them, okay, I'll tell him, I'll flip back to the beginning of that book and show him a page that he signed there. And the last part of it, it says, if you're aware of somebody's doing a test and they're not doing it right and they get caught and you hadn't reported them, you're subject to losing your certs also.
So you were just telling him you were doing your job.
Yeah, I'm not going to lose my
Right.
certs. So now, do you want to go back and rerun that test? And the answer has always been yes.
You know, I think a lot of times with testing, and I've been involved in it over the years, is you kind of do something over and over a lot of times, and sometimes you kind of develop these like shortcuts that you don't really think is a shortcut. But if you go back and compare it to the procedure, it actually is a deviation from that.
Yes, sir.
And so now you develop, I develop, if I run the test and you run the test, we've got a little bit of a bias in the result because just how I have run it a different way than what the standard is. And we're always trying to go back to the standard. So I applaud you for that. And everybody, we got to do that. So if you're, and David's right. I mean, if we're talking about doing this testing, and I think we're going to do a Everyday Asphalt on this topic coming up. So stay tuned on that. But we got to make sure we're doing things right. And there are standards, there are procedures for that. There's a whole certification arm right across the parking lot, and that's all they do to verify that we're doing things right, so we can compare the answers. When I compare the answer, I want to know that there's an issue with the asphalt. Not that it's the way Jim ran the test compared to David, right?
Yes, sir.
So those are huge issues and great opportunities. And I think you did it with a lot of grace and a lot of just care. And you didn't come up, hey, you didn't do that right, you SOB. You gave the guy an opportunity to kind of say, to look it up for themselves, figure it out, and then move on. So that's great idea.
As an inspector, you cannot direct the contractor on how to pave a project.
Right. You can't get on the paver.
See, you can't tell them, I want you to do this or do that. But, you can make suggestions and you can ask questions.
Right.
An example would be, we've already paved our inside shoulder, okay? Next morning or next shift we get ready to take off, I'm going to ask the one being the superintendent, are we going to have the breakdown roller and finish roller, as they're changing directions, pull on that mat we already paved? If we have to wait on trucks, we're going to pull off of the mat that we're paving and sit over here on this mat that's already paved. We're not going to leave dents in it. The answer is always, yeah, we're going to do that. So they tell you can do it, watch your rollers. Make sure they're doing.
Right.
If not, call the 1B. Say, hey, watch your rollers. They're sitting out on that mat we're paving right now.
And if if you got a roller sitting on a hot mat, that roller's going to sink in. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yes, sir.
Except for get the roller back where it's cold, where the mix isn't going to deform, or actually physically get it off the pavement.
But if he's stopping,
the
paver stop, he wants to get up there and park with the rest of them where he can get off and visit.
So they can have a paving party.
Right.
I get that. I understand that. So that's why I've always wanted to have operators that were loners. I didn't like anybody else. All right. So great answer. Anything else on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Inspector job there is to measure and pave for everything that contractor's doing.
Right.
And I always made it a habit, and I got my inspectors doing it. At the end of the shift, when we're signing out officers, we'll give that contractor a piece of paper. This is what we're paying for on this shift. So if they have something different, they will, well, wait a minute, my measurements are a little different than yours. We're going to discuss it right then and there.
Oh, that's the way to do that.
Instead of waiting until he turns it in, estimate runs, and
3
the
weeks
contractor
later,
calls and,
hey,
wait a minute, there's a big bust here. And then you got to do a supplemental estimate.
Great idea. We talk about that in the courses about doing that kind of that debrief every day, about just say, hey, this is how many tons I got today, or whatever the quantity is that you're laying. So he knows, we're clear, we're good to go. Tomorrow's another day. We start over and go from there. Great idea. Great idea. So you've been, man, I know you've done everything. You've run motor graders and everything through the process, which is really, I've never done that. I've always been afraid to get onto something like that. It's got too many knobs and switches for me. But you're now kind of a senior. Obviously, you've been a senior for a long time. So from a senior inspector's position, not necessarily somebody new that's only got a couple years, how do you prepare for a project? What's your thought process? What's your process you go through to start a new job?
All right, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get a set of plans for that project.
Okay.
And then I'm going to look them over. I'm going to check constructability of those set of plans. I'm going to check my quantities. Look at the square yards. Look at the quantities they got there to make sure I have enough quantities to do what needs to be done.
Sure, absolutely.
Example, we had a project showed to it's a mill and inlay. Typical showed doing 1.5 inches of type D.
Okay.
And we're capping it with 1 inch of tom.
Okay.
I was running my quantities. I only had enough quantities to do 1 inch of the type D. Went to the area office and they didn't have no more money. So we did a 2-inch mill, 1 inch of D, 1 inch of tom.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that sort of stuff happens, and I agree with you. Is the things we talk about here is no one should know more about that job than the inspector, about what's going on, typical sections, what we're doing, the quantities, that kind of stuff. Because if the contractor has a question, and I come to you, you should be able to answer the question. Yes. So good concept.
Another thing, I'm going to take the set of plans, I'm going to go out to the roadway, and I'm going to ride the project, and I'm going to look and see what got left off. Striping, flexible delineators, signal loops.
Okay.
Those are, a lot of times, they get overlooked when their design engineers are doing these plans.
Okay.
So if they're not in here, I'm going to do some measurement, get some quantities, and then get back to the area office. That way, if we need to do a change order, they can bring it up at the pre-con here.
So it's done way ahead of time. It's not like, oh, whoops, we forgot.
We're ready to finish the project, and hey, we need this. So we try to get it done out at the beginning.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
At the pre-pave, I'm going to bring up our plan rate. If you look in most set of plans, it has a basis of estimate, and it's how they figured that project.
Right. And
I'm going to bring up, this is our plan rate that we're looking for. Example, we were doing some tom when it first came out. It was 94.5 was plan rate on it. And we had a pre-pave on the side of the road. And contractors, well, how thick we're laying it? I said, 94.5. Well, how thick is that? I said, I won't know till we get a couple of yields and we get the stick adjusted. Okay. That is what we're looking for. Okay. Our plan rate's 94.5. That's the way this job was figured.
Pounds per square yard.
Okay. And that's what we're shooting
So
for.
the contractor was saying, how many inches is that?
Yeah, he won't know how many inches.
But it's going to depend on the aggregate specific gravity and the particular mix design,
Yes.
what that actually is. But you're going back to your quantities.
That's the way that
for the-
plan,
for-
the
for that particular
tonnage was
project.
set up off of those square yards at 94.5 on that
Okay.
project.
Got it.
So that's what we're.
Got it.
Another good thing to bring up at a pre-pave, we're going to use 10-foot straight edge on a takeoff joint.
That's a huge one for me.
And
Yeah.
the answer is, oh yes. So when you get out
Where's
there
the 10-foot straight edge?
and we're getting ready to take off, and you look around, you don't see no 10-foot straight edge.
Where's the straight
Hey,
edge? Yeah.
where's your straight edge?
Yeah.
You know, look at you kind of funny. It was brought up to pre-pave, and we were told you're going to use it.
Yeah.
So someone's going to go get it.
How
and
can you measure a joint if you don't have a straight edge?
And it makes a world of difference. Once you use 10-foot straight edge on it, you got to put that right down roller sideways and hit it, get it. You'll never feel them.
Yeah. And so, I mean, from a performance standpoint, from an award standpoint, you know, we need both. We need both. We don't need big jumps or big bumps at those transverse joints, because that causes a lot of vertical movement into the pavement, and that causes damage. And so, by doing what you're doing, just a 10-foot piece of aluminum, okay, is going to help us get there, and it's a no-brainer. It needs to be part of everybody's kit.
Yes, sir.
I agree 100%. 100%. All right. Is it good?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I want to talk about communication. We communicate well, I believe, and I appreciate that. But sometimes in the field, there can be, since we're working on different sides, shall we say, sometimes we should always be on the same side, but sometimes it feels like maybe we're on different sides. How do you communicate? How do you encourage communication on the project? Who's on your speed dial?
Number one on my speed dial is the 1A at the plant.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to call him beginning of every shift,
Okay.
set up my lots,
Okay.
talk to him about any issues he's seen the night before with the mix.
Okay.
If I see issues out here in the field at the mix, I'm going to give him a call and ask him to start checking it before the trucks leave the plant.
Perfect.
Especially if we have some high temperatures.
Okay.
Hey, go look at it. Check one or two loads before they leave. See what type of temperatures y'all are getting there. There's no need of them coming out here over 350 and we turn them around and send them back if they can catch them before they leave.
It's a good point.
So
That's a good point. And it's even more important now is look at the individual mix designs and make sure you're not exceeding the max for those particular designs. And in most cases, it's binder based. It's PG binder based. So a 76 is 345, a 70 is 335, and a 64 is a 325 max production temperature. If we overheat the asphalt, we artificially age it. We make it feel like it's old. It's got cracks in it, and we don't want to do that. So we want to keep it at the right temperature. And there's other stuff we can add now to help enhance the workability of the material as well. The warm mix additives, the compaction aids, that kind of stuff. That'll help get us there as well.
the other one I got on speed dial is going to be the 1B. Me and them, I work together with them to try to get the best mat we can out there.
Okay.
So if I'm watching his breakdown rollers and I see they're stopping square, I'm going to give him a call. Hey, you get up here and talk to your breakdown roller.
Okay.
You know, sometimes they'll put somebody new on there. The breakdown roller got sick, put someone else on there.
Got to pave. Yeah.
Yes.
But coming in on that diagonal alleviates that dip that can be formed by as that roller reverses.
You'll never get it out.
No.
It's there.
It's dug a hole.
Yes, it's there. You know, if I see segregation, I'm gonna get with him. If I see we're not tailing out, I'm gonna get with him. If we getting too many cods in the back, I'll get with him. Let's look up front, see what we can do to get rid of the problems in the back.
So it's a proactive activity.
Yes.
That you're always looking for things. You don't want to wait till like all of a sudden we start to see stuff, and then we got to try to fix it. We want to be more proactive and address it from that perspective. Whatever. So, okay. So you're proactive. You're talking to the plant. You're talking to the guy on the road, the tester on the roadway. Who else are you talking to?
Superintendent.
Okay.
Every so often, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna ride my traffic control.
Okay.
If I see some issues with the traffic control, you know, dealing with
It's
the public,
It's huge.
you know, I'll call him and ask him, hey, come back here and look at this, see what we can do different.
Perfect.
To would ideally get safety of the crew out there is number one.
Yep.
Safety of the traveling public is, you know,
Right in there. Yeah.
Yes.
Right in there.
You know, everybody to go home that night.
Absolutely.
after that shift.
Absolutely. So what are some specific things that you're looking for? You've already mentioned a couple of them. What are some other specific things that kind of like, these are David Till's deals, okay? What are some of those other things that you look for?
My biggest is tail outs.
Okay. Okay.
If I got a good tail out up front, I got a uniform mat in the back.
Okay. And define if someone doesn't know what tail out means. What is that? What does that actually mean? When I'm dumping out of the belly dump.
Well, we've learned over the years playing with thermo cameras and cameras, those belly dumps when they're opening, and he's walking down there. When you start seeing that mix coming back, just starting back on that belly, if you'll close that belly about halfway down and carry that out until it runs out.
Okay.
And the next load, you're going to back up
over that
until you got that notch there to where you closed it down.
And that's where you start.
That's where you start. You have all this cold that was up around the top corners that's stretched out.
So it's a little pile.
Yeah, it's a small windrow.
Overcompassed with a large hot pile. And then by the time you mix it all together, it's all mixed back.
You go in the back and you look with IR bars, IR scanners. You watch those. It's going to be a nice, beautiful, constant color.
Perfect.
It doesn't go up and down.
Well, it's not your opinion. You've actually demonstrated it with real data. Okay. Awesome. So how do you know when everything is going well on a project? What are the key indicators to you if we're kind of moving along? How do you know when you kind of go, okay, they got this. I can breathe a little bit.
Okay. Paver's not stopping. We're not stopping waiting on trucks. Trucking is one of the biggest issues with
and has been.
It always has. The plant can produce it. The crew can put it down. It's just a matter of getting it out there.
Right, in a uniform fashion, right?
Yes. The dumper is doing good tail outs, what we were just talking about.
Okay.
If he's doing a good tail out, I got a uniform temperature in the back. I got good breakdown operators who are staying with the paver, but not racing to stay with that paver.
And they're staying at their speed.
Yes. And we have a mat where they can pull off onto. They're pulling off on that other mat to change directions.
Okay.
They're not changing directions on the mat.
Oh, so you like the runoff technique?
Yes.
Okay.
If we've already have
that
option.
Okay.
And that eliminates any pushing.
Okay.
Or tearing in your mat.
But we don't want people coming into the mat and stopping square. If they are going to come in, they need to come in
at an angle.
On an angle. But you like them to keep going if you have the opportunity.
If they have the opportunity to get off the other.
So when they do reverse, there's no torque that would dig a hole, and they come back on and then reverse. Okay.
You'll get your better rides.
Okay.
Doing that.
All right. Well, cool.
If you watch your rakers back there, they're not bumping the mat back.
Yeah, that's a big one.
They're going to starve the joint if they're doing it.
Yeah.
And all they're doing is walking along.
Yeah.
That's good indication that everything's going right.
Yep.
Our cores are coming out at the right thickness. Our yield's right. So it means got the paver set just right.
Mm-hmm.
And I love paying bonuses. If I can pay, the contractor has everything going the right direction.
Okay.
They can get maximum bonuses.
Okay.
If I can pay that maximum bonus, that means I got a good quality mat out there that's going to last a while.
Mm-hmm.
That means I got a smooth ride out there. Yep. I can pay $600 for every 528 feet going down the road.
It's worth it.
And it's going to last. You don't have a bump where that 18-wheeler is coming across and pounding, and it ain't going to do nothing but get deeper and get worse.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the things you've mentioned over the years, and we were out on a job together a month or two ago, and you brought it up. You were talking about the sticker or the thickness control, the poker, okay? Everybody's got a different name for it. And you were talking about the washer. And so share with the group here your washer story.
All right. An eighth of an inch, that's not much. I've heard that statement so many times over the years.
Right.
Now, if you take an eighth of an inch is a .125.
Right.
We're doing an SMA Type D SAC A, 113 pounds per square yard, times that .125.
Okay.
That's going to equal 14.1 pounds
a yard.
A square yard.
Wow. Okay.
So That's
that
14
doesn't seem
pounds.
like a lot.
That 14 pounds is overrun. At 14 pounds, yeah, okay. Now, let's take that project that's on Interstate 35.
That's 10%.
That project's 7 miles long.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take 7 times 5280
All right.
times 56. That's how wide we are. Get 3 lanes,
Oh, okay.
two 10-foot
Okay,
shoulders,
gotcha.
56 foot wide.
Right.
Divide it by 9, I'm going to come up with 229,973 square yards
Got it.
for that project.
Okay.
Now that 1/8 of an inch, just 14 pounds, divided by 2,000, that's 1,610 pounds
Wow.
overrun
Okay.
for that 1/8 of an inch. Now I'm paying $187 a ton for that SMA out there. 1610 times 187 is $301,070 for that 1/8 of an inch.
Wow.
So
So we need to check our thickness and that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
you watch any back end men when they push that poker down. They want to see that imprint. And they leave that imprint. So if I'm running 10 to 14 pounds overrun, I'm going to get
adjust their nut.
I'm going to get with the superintendent, and we're going to lower that washer about 1/8 of an inch. So when he sticks it now,
Now he's flush to what his thickness should be.
yes.
There you go. I love it. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Now,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
brought this up earlier.
You
When I
can't
was
see this.
You can't see it. Maybe you can attach it later.
Yeah.
When I was at TXDOT and I have my inspectors do it now, I got a spreadsheet. I used to do this manually, but I had one of my inspectors good with Excel. He did it as Excel. So,
Got it.
but I keep up with your lots, your tonnage laid, tons to date, square yards to date, and my last column over here is yield to date.
Okay.
So you can look at this on any day, and on this one right here,
It's a cumulative yield.
Yes, the cumulative
Okay.
yield.
All right. For the project.
We have 7 lots down. Our plan rate was 226. We're at 228.
Okay.
So we're only 2 pounds over. So if I take that 2 pounds times the square yards to date, which was 27,908, and divide by 2,000,
Okay.
I'm going to come up with around 35 tons. I'm 35 tons over.
That's
to
not
date.
bad.
That is not bad
That's
at
not
all.
bad at all.
So if you keep a spreadsheet, like I say, I used to do it manually in the back of one of them green diaries for every
Sure.
project.
Yep.
And that way, at any time, especially if I start seeing we're getting 10, 15 pounds over, and
Routinely, yeah.
start getting with the area engineer, or see what can we do to bring this back down.
Gotcha.
So we don't get to the end of the project and we got a major overrun.
So just 1/8 of an inch washer could throw you off.
Yes.
Okay. So again, so you're looking in some kind of in that maybe 5% range,
Well,
and that kind of range in there roughly.
But I was with TXDOT, our area office. If I
Yeah.
could keep it under 5%, I
Okay.
didn't get in trouble.
Okay. Well, there you go. Staying out of trouble is a big deal.
Every area office might have different opinions, but
Okay.
the goal is, TXDOT's tight on money.
Yeah.
We want to come in as close as we can to plan.
Yeah. Absolutely. 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 Well, that's a great example. I appreciate that. So, you mentioned this earlier. You talked about you want it to ride good, but we also need to get density.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And sometimes those can fight with each other. Okay. And I've seen some people kind of, well, I want to make sure I get the ride bonus, so I'm not going to beat it as hard. I don't want to leave dimps and dimples and all that sort of in there. But how do we get both?
It can be done, but
Okay.
it should be ride versus yield.
Right.
But we're going to say ride versus density.
Okay.
It goes back to your breakdown operator. You have that machine lay a beautiful mat, but if that breakdown operator's not watching what he's doing, he's going to mess it up.
Sure.
If your 1B's not keeping on top of your mix, that mix can change throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
We had a project. We started in the mornings. Let me back up on this project. The 1B and me teamed up against the 1A at the plant. We challenged him to see who could get the most bonuses off of this project.
Okay. All right.
So
The production bonus versus the placement bonus. Okay.
We were watching that mix change throughout the day. So as it changed, we changed
Change your pattern.
patterns.
Exactly.
And I was talking about pulling it off into the other lane. If you had the opportunity to get him off of that, change directions. And we ended up the placement bonuses were higher than what the plant production bonuses were.
Okay.
This project at the end, there's a plaque hanging in Bastrop area office that shows an exceptional on this project. I ended up paying them over $250,000 in bonuses alone for the ride, the production and placement bonuses.
Okay.
So it can be done. You just got to get the 1B out there to
got to get everybody synced
say
up.
yes, to watch it.
Yeah, and that's another big thing. Is particularly right now, over the last week or so, we've seen temperatures go from 90s to 50s, right?
Yes.
And you know, if you've been around asphalt, you know, asphalt, the environment impacts our ability to compact a mix significantly. If you want to talk about balancing production rates, we've even got old programs on that. And so that's going to change. Your mix is going to change a little bit as well. So it's not something you set up a rolling pattern at the beginning of the job and it never changes. It's dynamic. I tell rolling patterns are dynamic. They're not static.
Right.
I mean, and it's which means you're going to need to adjust. You adjust as weather changes. You adjust as the mix changes. If you're in contact with the plant, say, hey, this burn came back. Asphalt content's up a little bit, well then that means I need to be looking in the field as to what do I need to do out there. So really good points there. Good points there. Go ahead.
More to
Yeah.
the ride versus yield.
Yeah.
You I've had contractors before say, well, what do you want? Do you want the ride or do you want to yield? I want both.
You want both.
It can be done. We've done it. We had a project, the road was pretty well out of shape. And what we ended up doing, we ran, instead of running that little joint matcher, we ran 2 skis.
Okay.
We joint matched with the skis. And every lane that we went across, we got smoother. That last lane, it was wonderful.
Okay, so by doing that, even though that longitudinal joint, there may be a couple of layers where it might be a little bit off, but overall, you're improving the ride.
Right.
I wanted to, we had mentioned this, we'd kind of talked about this briefly, but I wanted to bring it up here. Is when you're talking about yield and or spread rate and yields, those kinds of things, and how we build the project kind of can make a difference, right? And some will build the project where they pull all the main lane stuff first, and then they come back and pull the shoulders and the turnouts and the crossovers and that kind of stuff, which tend to over yield generally because you're trying to fit handwork, and you're trying to fit stuff in. You do it a little bit differently.
I like to run everything, crossovers, turnouts, side roads. If we pave that ahead of time, and when we're coming out into the shoulder or to the lane, we'll run it wild. Then you take string line, draw a line across there, take the milling machine, cut it, or take the load, salt.
So you reestablished that line. So the paver, when he's paving, isn't having to do this.
It's straight shot.
He's just running straight.
He's straight.
There you go. Okay.
And it gets a lot prettier job versus whenever you come through here and you do a lot of times if you're going to do the turnouts later, when you get toward this crossover, you're going to open up as wide as you can to catch as much as you can.
And then you're going to
pull it back in. So now when I'm opening this up, what am I doing? I'm starving this head. Now when I pull it back in, if I don't have a good back eye,
so you're going to go down and up.
There you go.
Okay.
So
that makes it so.
If we sit down before we'll take off, and then we can take that loader and pick this up, and we can still
Now you got a clean edge. Now you can run your dual skis, and you're running on a clean edge, and you're good to go.
There you go.
Got it. Love it. So, in your current job, you're working with younger folks. You're working with newer inspectors, and we always got to start somewhere. Okay. What do you tell your up and comers? The folks that are coming up that are eventually going to take your place. Decide to go to the house. Seriously.
Get out of the pickup and get out there with the crew.
Okay.
You're out there walking with them, watching, looking. You're helping them find stuff that needs to be addressed. I tell them you can watch what's happening up here in front of that paver, and you'll get a good idea what's going to happen back here behind this paver.
Okay.
If you tailing out, great. If you got clods in there, see them up front, get them out of the road before he gets to the back.
Right.
Eliminate it. We had a job where we did a 1.5" Type D overlay. It was PG 7022.
Okay.
It was right when the IR bars were coming out.
Okay.
One of the first jobs we ran it on. We had a shuttle buggy, had the insert in the paver.
Mm-hmm.
First day we were out there, the dumper was old school. He would dump, pull up 20 feet, square it off, dump, pull up 20 feet, square it off. And I kept telling the superintendent, this ain't working, we need to tail him out. And he'd go talk to him, but it didn't happen. Next morning I got to work, ran the reports, and we had 40% of the profiles were severe.
Whoa.
So
they were running the profiles as they went.
Yes, this
Okay.
is off of the IR bar.
Oh, off the IR bar. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that night the superintendent sent me the raw data. Back then I had a program on a laptop at TXAPA where I
Right.
could run it. So
Right.
I ran it, and we had 40% were severe. So I called him that morning and said, we ain't doing this today. We're going to tail him out. And he agreed. So we got out there. First load, you dump, you fill up the shuttle buggy. Second load, backed up to the paver, dumped. Then the third one, he skipped 20 feet. I called the superintendent over. I said, you see that? If that's the way it's going to be, we're going home.
Okay.
So he went up there and he dumped all day trying to show the dumper what to do. Next morning, I ran the report. Only had one severe. That was the first one for that day.
So it worked.
Called him,
With
told
real
him.
data.
Yes.
Yeah, with
Called
real
him,
data.
said, hey, you're dumping from now on. So he walked with the dumper that day, got him to tail him out. We didn't have no more problems. Even with the shuttle buggy, everybody's saying you got a shuttle buggy, you ain't got to do it. Even with that shuttle buggy, you still need to tail these loads out.
So we're trying to make we're making it continuously at the plant, but then when we're trucking it, now we're making it discontinuous. If we don't overlap those loads,
You have this temperature.
you still have that swing, and that swing, even though what's going through the machine, still can show up in the pavement. And you've got some numbers to prove it.
Yes,
Okay.
more than once.
Cool.
You know, I love this IR bar. Now they're using an IR scanner.
Right.
They're wonderful. They
Right.
tell you what you got back there.
Right.
We
If you look at the data,
Yeah.
you gotta look at the data.
You know, we just finished a project out here with this HPG binder,
Mm-hmm.
and we were having severes every day. We're trying to what's the problem? Where's it at? We finally figured out it's in the trucking. Every time that paver stopped for 5 minutes or more waiting on trucks, we had severes.
Okay.
The longer it waited, the higher that number. We had up
Sure.
to 96 degrees difference,
Wow.
and it was all in the trucking.
Okay.
Where we could keep moving. We had a few moderates,
Yeah.
but all the severes, we finally brought it back to it was in the trucking.
Yeah, I was out on the job a couple times, and the trucking got much better over time.
Yes.
And the last time I was out on a job, it's like, hey, everything's just kind of clicking along here, which is
That's
what you want to see.
Yes.
What you want to see. Do you have another note?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, I don't expect the inspector to remember everything about these specs, the 1Bs and everything, but what I do expect them to know is where to find the answer. The answer
There you
is
go.
always in the book.
In the book, baby.
The answer's in the book.
Yep, in the book.
So they got their 1B book, they got the spec book, they got the set of plans, they got the answer.
Right. And so again, the inspector really needs to be on top of this, is to know that, because if I'm the contractor and I come to you, or if I'm setting up to do a certain operation, and you go, well, hey, that's not what we agreed to, or that's not really what we even need to be doing, or that's not even the right mix. It happens, right?
Yes.
We need to get. I want to fix it right now before we pull off the joint. Then pay for 3 days and realize, oops, wrong
Right.
mix. Now what do we do? Now it becomes a really huge issue. So I want to talk about handwork and texture. Okay, this is one of the things that just kind of fries my bacon. Is you get a mat and it just doesn't look right. And it's because of a lot of little stuff. And I said, just what's your thoughts there on how the mat ought to look?
Well, no handwork would be ideal,
Okay.
but it's going to happen.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was behind the paver doing a thermosegregation. We had a shuttle buggy. We had a big insert in there. And all of a sudden,
Doing everything right.
Holy cow, what happened here?
We got a spot.
Yeah, I had a big segregated area. Walked around, looked in the hopper. It was empty. Looked up at the operator, and it was like this. It was August, middle of the afternoon, hot, and he just left it run out.
Lost his train of concentration there for a little bit. It happens.
We stopped the
Happens to me.
paver, picked
Yep.
the paver up, took the loader, cut us a joint, set the paver back down,
Okay.
took off, took the 10-foot straight edge, put on it, rolled it out. You couldn't even tell it. It was a hot joint and eliminated a lot of handwork.
Wow.
Now, you're going to have some small spots out there you don't want to pick the paver up for.
Right.
So what we do, we've learned over the years, if you take your rake or shovel and dig all of that segregated stuff out,
All the way to the bottom.
all the way to get all the big rock out of there.
All right.
You'll go back and they'll try covering it up. Throw
Sand
some
it
mix
in,
on it,
yeah.
and rake it down.
Yeah.
All you're doing is putting a scab on there. You're still segregated underneath. After a little period of time, you're going to get water in there and it's going to come out.
Pop out.
But if you go ahead and dig it out, and if years past when I started this, all they were doing, they were just raking it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you rolled it, you'd see a black circle out there, dark circle.
Okay.
That machine gives you 85% of your density. So here, we dug all this out and lost our compaction on
We're
it.
going to leave a little higher. All right.
We've learned if we can leave this on at least one rock high, depending on what type of mix
Okay.
you're running,
All right.
it generally just all you need is one rock high. Leave it where you dug it out, just
Okay.
on that area,
Okay.
and that flat wheel roller hits it. You might be able to see the aggregate there. Looks a little different,
Okay.
but you can go back and check it with a straight edge. It's smooth,
Flush? Okay.
and you can run a segregation profile on it all day long, and it will pass.
Wow.
Because we've done this too many times, gone back and rechecked them.
So
if
if
you just
got
leave
a
that black-
problem, you can fix it, but we want to fix it in the right fashion that doesn't make it worse or
Yes.
doesn't pretend we're putting like a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, if you will,
Right.
when we got a problem. Okay. Awesome. Good deal. So obviously you've been involved in a lot of stuff. You mentioned awards earlier. What does it really take to kind of make from your perspective, an award-winning pavement, something that's going to win a TXAPA award or even a national award?
Plenty of trucks. You go back to your trucking.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, ideally is to keep that paver moving at all times.
Okay.
And
I'm a
It
big
get-
I'm a big one for consistent paver speed,
yes,
not changing paver speed.
Right.
So you in the same?
it makes a world of difference. We
Okay.
proved it out here with this HPG binder. Because when we were getting low on trucks, we would slow down. All of a sudden,
Speed would rise up.
screed to come up.
Yep.
Then we take off, screed to
Screed
come
to
back
go
down.
down.
So I know the lanes out
Yeah.
there, and I can feel this
Yeah.
when
I
I'm
drive
going
that
down.
too. I know where they're at too. So
Yes, a constant speed, and it
Okay.
goes back to your trucking. Have enough trucks
To
to
feed.
be able to do that.
Okay.
Keep that moving at all times.
got it.
A good dumper, a good roller operator that's not out there racing. I
Yeah.
see, we can lay a beautiful mat, but if you got someone on his breakdown roller that don't know what he's doing,
Yeah.
he's going to mess that mat up.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
it all works together.
Okay.
Years ago when I came in and did recertification one year, Elvis made a comment. He said, that dumper, y'all need to call him a load coordinator. Give him a big title, make him think he's big. Because he is the most important guy out on
Yeah,
that crew.
he can really mess things up.
Yes.
Really mess things up.
He's not dumping right. He runs that hopper low. You're going to have segregation in the back.
Now you got a problem.
If you overload it and have it running out the front,
Okay.
if you're using the cow, running out the front, that's getting in front of these wheels and it's raising that machine up. What do you got? You got a hump out in your road.
Yeah, yeah.
So that dumper's one of your key personnel
Okay.
out there. I like doing side roads, turnouts, crossovers ahead at the beginning of
You
the
mentioned
project.
that. Yep.
That way, when we come back through with the main lanes, we're not opening up trying to grab some of it.
Which
and
is
we're
going to
holding,
unbalance the screed
yes, we're
Okay.
holding that screed.
like an
and
arrow.
Just go around the horn, making circles around, and
Okay.
gives
It's a good way
my
to look at it. Yeah.
opinion, it gives a lot better ride. You're not
Okay.
coming back later on, sitting down on your mat that you just paved, taking off, trying to fill in these little narrow spots for your,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and then, because
Because
that's
then it
gonna-
doesn't look good.
it does. You'll be
It's
able
like-
to see
it's
it
like,
every time.
What happened here? Yeah.
Yes. And,
Okay. All right. I get it.
I love the spray bar paver.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
You don't have all these tracks going out into the other
Even
lane.
with the trackless tack material.
Trackless tack material, still track.
Okay.
So-
Track less does not mean track zero. It means track
less. Yes, sir. You're 100% right there.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
Because there's a lot of new materials out there. A lot of new. That seems to be an evolving technology. The trackless material, even the hot applied stuff, which what you did on
Out here
on that
25,
project,
yes.
which looked pretty good to me.
Yes.
And I didn't see that track, but
Nope.
I'm sure somebody could do it.
Yeah. I love the hot applied, but it has to be super clean and it has to be dry. So it's real hard to do with the mill and fill.
Okay,
because
because everything's still a little bit dirty.
dirty.
You know, it's really hard to get those totally clean.
Right.
Unless you run traffic on it for a couple of days.
That's what we ended up doing
Yeah.
out here.
Okay.
We milled out ahead to let the traffic clean it, and we didn't have any issues. Once they shot it, a few minutes later, you could lay down in it, and it wouldn't pick up.
Well, I wouldn't do that, but you could.
But yeah, I'm just saying, it's not like the OSS 1H,
Right, I gotcha.
where you do the sticky boot tap.
Yeah, it's a sticky boot. I still got stuff on my work boots from that job. So we're kind of wrapping up here. What's the hardest part of your job? I always try to kind of bring some things back together, and I'll give you another question here at the end. But what's the hardest part?
Dealing with the public, traveling public.
Okay, waving at you with one finger.
Yes,
Yeah.
had that happen many a times.
Yeah.
You know, they're always in a hurry. They're on cell phone. They're not watching, and you just set up traffic control out here, and you're slowing them up. And
Yeah,
you know, you get honked at and waved at
and yelled at and
quite a bit.
everything. Probably stuff thrown at you once in a while.
Well, but if we could just we have new roadway, no public.
Yeah.
It goes great.
Yeah.
But you're out here on Interstate 35. Minute you do a lane closure, you got people upset. You'll see them cutting across the median, trying to get on the feeder roads
Yep.
to get down the road, and then all of a sudden the feeder road's backed up.
Yep.
So,
So that's a challenge. I mean, that's a challenge all the time about trying to, we're rebuilding stuff while it's, that's kind of like, they said it's like trying to do heart surgery on a guy running a marathon. I mean, you're trying to do something that is not normal, but that's the way we have to do things. So, obviously we want to make sure that the traffic control plans are clear and concise and are telling the public everything that they need to know. They're going to get distracted. I mean, you do a lot of, I think the only time I've seen you last year has been at night, So, I mean, do a lot of night work to not involve that, but there's still going to be some situations where people are not going to be happy. And so we just got to be nice, don't wave back with one finger, wave back with all of them, and all that sort of stuff. And smile and try to do the best you can in those situations. So you kind of mentioned it earlier, but I just kind of wanted to talk about it because this is one of Chuck Fuller's big deals is debriefing.
yes, sir.
Okay, and about he wants at the end of each shift or the beginning of the next shift just to take a couple minutes and talk about how things went.
Yes.
Do we need to do anything different? Where are you at on that?
We usually do it when we sign the officers out at the end of the shift.
Okay.
So like I said
Okay.
before, I'm going to give the contractor a sheet of paper, tell them, hey, this is what I'm paying for.
Okay.
Then we will discuss, do we have any issues that night?
Okay.
What were the issues? How can we avoid that issue on the next shift?
Okay. Okay.
What type of traffic control are we going to need for our next shift?
Okay.
That way he can get a hold of who's ever doing his traffic control.
Get it on order. Get it
They
out
can tell them, hey, we need an extra TMA or we need an extra message board. We're closing the ramp off.
Okay.
Over here, we need to put a message board over there
It's
on
not
that
all
ramp.
the same every night.
No.
You're going as you go down the road.
You know, we always try to visit when we're signing officers out. That's a good time to do it
Okay.
before we start our next shift.
Okay.
You want to do it ahead of time. And I'm going to ask you, what lanes, how many tons we're anticipating.
Gotcha.
That way, I know when I call the 1A at the plant that afternoon, I know what to set the lot up at.
Okay.
He's saying, well, we're going to try to get from point A to point B. We've run a quick number. That's going to be about 1,100 tons.
Okay.
So we're going to bump the lot 200 tons,
Okay.
give us a little comfort in there.
Okay.
And in case we get to go a little further.
Right.
Or our yields off a little bit.
Okay.
But,
Give you a little bit of safety factor in there.
yes.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like that. So last question, okay? And this is coming. You're going to make you king for the day. I'm asking this all year now, I think, and I just kind of started. I'm just curious to see what people say. You get to change anything. What do you change?
It already happened. Our new book, our 30 numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we have a 3084 bonding course.
Okay.
When I was with TXDOT, I always try to get my design engineers to let us pay for the TAC because it's always subsidiary.
Right. Right.
And you
right.
never get You know,
You're fighting. You're
MTD
fighting.
was saying, you know, you need 0.05 residual. We're looking at a 0.08 because it's 30-70 blend.
Right.
And I'll start a project. I get a strap. We shoot a section, run numbers. Well, you shot a 0.03. Well, that's what I always shoot. Well, we need a 0.08. I've shot 3 times to get to 0.08.
Right, right.
And after he realized, hey, he's going to make me do it. So going forwards, he dials it up where he only does it in one pass.
So we're taking away an argument.
Yes.
And,
now
and we're getting what we're paying for. And that bonding, that tack, that bonding material is so important.
Yeah.
In order to, we got to stick these layers together. They got to, and you know me, we've done this before. And we've got to bond those things together as one pavement system.
You look in years past, how we always have all the slippage at the intersections.
Yeah.
Now, once we started going to this 0.08 on our tack, we eliminated that.
Okay. There you go. And we got bond strength tests now as well to evaluate the shear. And so someday maybe we'll just have, instead of a spread rate, we'll have a shear rate. But the problem is we're not going to know till tomorrow what it is today. So we still got to have a number.
Yeah.
We still got to have a number. Closing thoughts.
Get out of the pickup and get out there with the crew.
There you go. There you go. There you go. You know, it also helps, you know, that banter that you do with the crew when you're walking with them, it also helps from an inspector standpoint develop that relationship. It makes it easier to talk with somebody when you're already talking with them. Say, oh yeah, do you see that spot? Would you mind grabbing that spot right back there? And they go, yeah, no problem. If you just run out of the pickup truck, run up there and go, hey, 2 miles back, you got to go fix that spot. Well, then that's a whole nother issue, right?
Most of the time, you're sitting there walking with them. If you stop and look at it,
they're going to
fix. They're going to stop and fix it. You don't have to point something out. All you got to just stop and look.
There you go.
If nobody's back there, you know, sometimes they'll see it, sometimes they don't. But you're back there. You're looking.
It's important enough for you, which means it's important enough for them.
Yes.
Okay? Awesome. Awesome. Whew. Man, this went fast. Hey, thank you so much for joining today, and just a reminder that we post all these programs on our YouTube website. Go to YouTube, texasasphalt.org, or Texas Asphalt Pavement Association, or TXAPA. Click on the playlist. It says Everyday Asphalt down at the bottom. This should be up by Friday. And so, David, awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time on Everyday Asphalt.